It's the 30th of April and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Now, I'm just getting my accounts in order to see if I'll be hit by Abbott's proposed debt levy.
Looks like you'll be okay since the PM's talking about cutting ABC funding, so you probably won't get paid anything.
Damn you, Abbott, always screwing the little guy.
Though because you won't have a job, you won't have to pay the levy.
Woo! Thank you, Abbott. Always looking out for the little guy. Tonight on The Roast, Tony Abbott proposes a new tax. That's not a tax, it's a debt levy. So are we clear that's a debt levy, not a tax? Definitely no new taxes. But if it is a tax, it's only a temporary one. Only it's not a tax, it's a levy. First, Mark Humphries has the headlines.
International Olympic Committee Vice President John Coates has described preparations for the 2016 Rio de Janeiro Games as the worst he has experienced.
I think this is a worse situation than Athens.
And we all remember how bad Athens was. Just look at this piece of shit. Coates is clearly surprised by the lack of progress, though based on this photo, I'm guessing he thought the Rio Games meant something else. But to be fair to John Coates, things do sound pretty dire in Rio.
He says only 2 people are working in the Games test department, even though test events are scheduled to start this year.
Only 2 people? They must be run off their feet.
Os testes dos eventos começarão em breve, de acordo com John Coates.
Esse não é o nosso departamento?
É.
The cast of Star Wars Episode VII has been announced. Newcomers Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley will be joining returning cast members Grumpy Anna Jones, Ravages of Time and Emperor Palpatine. The news was announced with this photo, which shows the cast at their first read-through of the script. On the far right, you can see Chewbacca actor Peter Mayhew desperately hoping his dialogue lives up to the previous films. Also pictured is the film's director J.J. Abrams, who's taking over from George Lucas. It's believed Lucas is now focusing on his charity work, giving beards to chinless youths. Star Wars Episode VII is expected to pick up roughly 30 years after Mark Hamill's film career, and the film is set for worldwide fan disappointment on December 18, 2015. And finally, the Queensland state leader of the Palmer United Party has urged government MPs to defect to the Palmer United Party.
Please come and contact me as fast as you can because you're with a ship that's sinking.
Yes, get off that sinking ship and join the party that has no association with sinking ships. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Well, first up tonight, Prime Minister Tony Abbott has raised the possibility of introducing a new debt levy to fix the national deficit. Tony Abbott, seen here wearing glasses to prove he understands how money works, explained it in the only way an eloquent Rhodes Scholar knows how, by reducing complicated economic theory to analogies about pumping iron and shredding abs.
Sometimes there needs to be some short-term pain for permanent and lasting gain.
Yeah, that is exactly how exercise works. I once did a bicep curl in 1999 and look at my arm now. If I knew it was going to be permanent, I'd have done both arms. And just like lifting something once deformed my body freakishly and forever, that temporary levy will fix all of Australia's debt problems. Forever. Of course, this being politics, not everyone agrees with Tony Abbott, specifically this guy.
No country has ever taxed or subsidised its way to prosperity.
Although, to be fair to the Prime Minister, that was all the way back in 2014. But it's still going to be hard for the Prime Minister to sell that argument, given he had previously and repeatedly promised
no new taxes, no broken promises, no surprises, no excuses.
And while we are now looking at a new tax and a broken promise that came as quite a big surprise, at least Tony Abbott is sticking to his promise of no excuses.
Mr. Abbott justified what would be a clear broken promise of no new taxes and no excuses by arguing the tax was needed and was not a tax because it was not permanent.
Ah, well, 0 out of 4 isn't that bad. And besides, Tony Abbott, you're right. It's not a broken promise if it's only temporary.
I found lipstick on your collar.
Oh, baby, it's nothing. It's temporary. I'm in a sex deficit at the moment and I need to get back on top. Oh, it's a bad choice of words.
You broke a promise to me.
No, it's not a broken promise because it's not sex. It's a levy. It's a sex levy. I love you.
I found lipstick on my collar once. Turns out my girlfriend was cheating on me with my shirt. Now, if it's introduced, it's thought the deficit levy would kick in for people earning $80,000 per year, with workers on that salary paying up to $800 per year in extra tax.
Typical Labor pinkos. Taxing the rich for making mad coin.
Actually, Nick, it's a Liberal Party policy.
Oh. Well, those Labor pinkos are still supporting this commie tax, right?
No, they're not.
Okay, Shorten and Abbott know that after an election, the winners and losers don't swap policies, right? It's not like jerseys after a football game.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened. I don't often say this, Nick, but you're right.
Well, there's only one explanation, and frankly, it's one I've suspected for a while. Tom, take a look at this. Hey, Billy Willy, I gotta go to work. You gonna fix the deficit today, Tony Woney? Well, I'm gonna try. Remember, no one can ever know about us. We are only going to tax the wealthy. Oh no, I picked up Billy Willy's briefcase, but our secret can never get out. I'll just have to go with it. No, you heard me. We're only going to tax the wealthy. The end. You know, I hope those two lovebirds make it. Anyway, how has Labor responded?
Well, Bill Shorten said...
A deficit tax, which should be renamed a deceit tax.
A deceit tax? Now that sounds like exactly what the budget could use. If Australia had $1 for every time a politician lied, then we'd have somewhere between $200 or $300. I mean, don't get me wrong, they lie, but not that much if you really think about it. You know what? I've changed my mind about that deceit tax. But time will prove me right about Shorten and Abbott.
Yeah, we'll see. And we'll be right back.
While Nick changes his mind about the deceit tax, why don't you hop on Twitter and answer tonight's question? Have you ever changed your mind about a tax? Did you stop paying that tax? Are you in jail now? We'd love to hear about it at The Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
Normally we would go to a second story now, but I can tell you guys are loving the tax talk, so round two. It's not just the opposition coming out against this proposed levy. Members of Tony Abbott's own party have also been vocal in their dissent, with one anonymous MP saying,
"This is absolutely crazy. This is an absolute breach of our election promise. This is the type of thing that makes people quit political parties. This is absolutely nuts. I, for one, won't be standing for this."
Finally, a politician with the conviction and courage to stand up and fight for their beliefs by bitching anonymously to journalists.
Yeah, this new bullshit tax is a big sack of dicks. Mate, don't get me started on the jerk-off heading up this shit show. I tell you,
He's an exceptional leader, and I fully support this new deficit levy. The Liberal government will get this country into surplus. Also, who was that last guy sitting in the dark?
Of course, having a member of the Liberal Party go against the party line is nothing new. It's called being a Malcolm Turnbull. And that's fine so long as there's only one Malcolm. But all of a sudden, everyone's doing the Turnbull, with Liberal MPs coming out anonymously saying, "We didn't vote for a f***ing Abbott government to increase taxes, did we? It's just too stupid and the biggest f***up we've had in a long time." And with so much instability within the government, should Bill Shorten go on the offensive or sit back and just watch them self-destruct from infighting, Labor style? Jazz Twemlow joins me now in the studio. Jazz, help Bill Shorten.
Easy. He should definitely let it play out on its own. If Shorten has any memories from before now and hasn't just arrived in the present day like a freshborn baby with scary adult skin, he'll remember that every politician that's ever criticised other politicians for breaking promises always ends up breaking promises of their own. It's almost like they don't realise people occasionally listen to them. So right now, Shorten should shut up, otherwise any point scoring he attempts today will come back to bite him in the future.
Oh yeah, how so?
I'll show you. Remember in opposition when Tony Abbott heavily criticised Gillard's flood levy?
Only a Prime Minister who's out of her depth would seek to exploit people's generosity to flood victims to win acceptance for yet another new tax.
It sounded great back then, but played alongside current-day Tony Abbott, it makes him look about as believable as a picture of Bigfoot taken by Jesus. If Bill Shorten wants to avoid looking as bad as that in the future, he mustn't criticise Abbott's current U-turn. Otherwise, this will happen.
Currently 85 degrees on the moon's capital, and it's a balmy 27 degrees in the underwater city of Brisbane. Turning now to politics, and the Prime Minister, Bill Shorten, has come under fire for breaking his election promise by introducing a new tax on ordinary Australians. This coming from the same man who, in 2014, had this to say when in opposition.
We will fight a tax increase on ordinary Australians, absolutely. It's a bad idea, it's a broken promise, it's a tax increase. Labor will have no part of it.
Turning to sports now, where Australia won silver in the selfie championships at this year's iPhone World Series, presided over by the reanimated corpse of Steve Jobs.
What does this all mean?
It means if we want to take gold, we better nail our duck face.
No, I mean about Bill Shorten.
Oh, it means Bill Shorten should keep his mouth shut.
All right, thank you, Jazz. I know what that is. Good night. I'm just going to practice for 2016.
Tom, no, you need to use the front-facing camera.
Oh, it was.